looks like, since I didn't get a permit, that I'm going to end up having to move. So getting comfortable and starting to cook, I'll have to do it another time.
Open minds in a cage, hungry hearts in a rage, glowing eyes in a daze, turning around in a hurry, hoping you will come along. I'm running as fast as I can, in a desperate need of a plan. It's the work of one little man. I'm fading out from the story. Am I a passionate man?
So I was looking into some interesting facts on the landmass of Big Bend National Park. Of course, we know Big Bend National Park is in Texas, and I had the opportunity to travel pretty much all of the roads, and I took some paths that maybe I shouldn't have. We'll see. I've got some four-wheel drive footage of one road that I drove that was pretty precarious, and it brought me basically down to the river. I've been told by several people that I shouldn't swim in the Rio Grande, so I didn't, but I did get an opportunity to go down to the river and check it out. But one of the things that I was looking at is that the park itself is comprised of 1,194 square miles of land, and I would say probably 20% of that is campable. There's a possibility that's more than 20%, close to 30%, but I doubt it. But let's say that it's between a fifth and a third of the landmass is campable. Easily less than 10% of that campable area is what we would consider boondocking campable. Most of what's available has either bear boxes or some form of fire pit, tables in many cases, and in some cases, obviously, even water, electricity, etc. And people like myself who are not looking for any of that, I would just like to be able to find a spot that is available, that I can just pull off the road and get out of sight of traffic, even if I can still hear it, just out of sight of traffic, and be able to camp. I bring in what I need, I take out everything I bring in, I leave nothing but footprints and tire tracks, and that's just the way that I would prefer to camp. And it's just not readily available in Big Bend. A little bit frustrating, and for that matter, Texas has 268,820 square miles of land, which would say that 1,194 square miles that comprises Big Bend is less than 0.004% of the landmass of the state of Texas. Texas being the second largest state in the nation. It seems odd to me. It seems like there might be more national park land, but then again, Texas, based on the Texas Constitution and the people who set up that Constitution, were not in favor of big business, or excuse me, big government, which technically can be translated to big business. But anyway, big government, and therefore giving up land for specific federal use. I get that's probably a little taboo for many Texans. But again, it would just be nice if more of that land was land that could be used for boondocking. And just as a comparison, Colorado, I don't even think that it has 2/3 the landmass of Texas, and yet it has more national parks than any other state in the nation. Which is to say that I would be willing to bet that it has much more than 0.004% of its landmass comprised of federal parks. But I'll actually do the math on that and see if I can come up with a figure on that, because I don't know the exact number on that. But again, being the state that has the largest number of national parks, I'd be willing to bet that it's more than 0.004% of the landmass as well. It's just frustrating to not have places to easily pull off and just camp, set up for the night, and then move on. I'm not even looking to stay at one location for any given period of time, just usually overnight, a place to pull in, camp, and then head out and do some more investigation, do some more searching, see what's out there. It's basically what I'm planning on doing whenever I do get the opportunity to travel throughout the country, finding places to crash. It's just going to be a state-by-state thing, and I'll do what I can to learn all of the ins and outs of that as well. Alright, so I have no idea how the audio is going to come out on this, but it's not too windy, so I think that I might be heard. I'm finding this sign on just about every single road that I travel in Big Bend. Now, I get when you look at the landscape and you see, the brush and gravel and whatnot, you want to maintain it to a degree. You want to keep it fairly pristine, but off-road vehicle travel prohibited, so that stops anybody from pulling off of the road at all. Permit required for campsite. I drove down a road last night. It was probably 10 miles. There were 3 campsites. So I didn't have a permit for a campsite because, one, I didn't know where to go to get them. But somebody answer this question for me. Well, anyway, to finish my story, I ended up camping at a campsite that I'm pretty sure belonged to somebody else, and I feel real bad about that. If you're a fan and watching, you're probably not a fan anymore, but if you are, let me know. I'll compensate you in some kind of way. But I was in the middle of cooking dinner, and there was a car that pulled up, stopped at the sign where I was camping, and then pulled a little further off to the side and parked in another area of basically that same campsite and got their stuff together and went to sleep. So they were really probably looking for a place to sleep too, kind of like I was. But permit required for campsite. There are, I don't know how many acres. I'm going to figure out exactly how many acres there are, but there are at least, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of acres in this area, probably millions. And all you've got to do is just have a little bitty cut on the side and grate back about 25, 30 feet, spread out over all of this property. Hell, put it every half mile, and you're not going to run into anybody other than driving by. But when you drive, like I just drove 5 miles down this road just to see what I'd come across, and I knew that there was a cutoff here, Old Ore Road, and then this road continues forward. I can't remember what it's called. The sign's back there. But anyway, it's called Car Trail, something Car Trail. And I'm thinking, people live on cement pavement, otherwise they need a little trail to just drive their car, because there's no reason otherwise to drive out here. I mean, this is a national park, for crying out loud, just like BLM land or whatever. I mean, there should be a spot where you could pull off to the side of the road. I mean, most people don't boondock, most people don't remote camp, but some do. And you know, it doesn't take much to accommodate those people, because most of the time, unless they're just a-holes, most of the time they pack in, pack out. So whatever you bring in, you bring out. Find a place to dump your garbage, dump it. Did it this morning. Small bag. I mean, even you know, small footprint for trash is important to me, much less not leaving anything. I picked up trash around the site, just like I always do. Pack in, pack out. So where do you camp? If there's no place other than the 3 campsites down the road that I went last night, or I think I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to continue on. I think it's another probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles down this road. There's supposed to be campsites down this way. And of course, when you see the symbol for campsite, you have no idea if it's a campsite, 3 campsites, or 50 campsites. And that's one thing that I did notice. Going down into one of the valleys here, apparently a lot of people like to gather together, and I'm talking gather together to the point where there would be a campsite where that sign is from right here. So why in the hell? I mean, I know that's like RV camping and whatnot, but I just don't get it. That's not the reason to get out. That's not the reason to go somewhere. The reason to go somewhere and camp is to get away, not to join a different community for a day or 2 or 3. Anyway, end of rant.
Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
All the best, always.